Okay, so a very good evening, guys. Can you all let me know if y'all can hear me and see a screen? Yes, all good. Okay, so today we need to go through with focus area number 21. Now, this is the last area for unit number 6. So with this, we will then be done with the entire grade 12 syllabus. So after that, we need to move in to focus area number 22. That is where the grade 13 syllabus starts off. So that means next Friday, we're starting off with the grade 13 syllabus, especially unit number 7, right? A very tricky and a bit of a difficult unit. So make sure that you definitely join next week as well. Okay. So let me share my screen. Let's get started. The plan is if we can finish things off by, let's say, around 8:15, that would be pretty great. Right. So I need to wrap that off there. So coming into today's part. Focus area number 21. So focus area number 21 is the last part of unit number 6. So that is where we talk about this multipliers, right? Where you talk about the expenditure multiplier, the tax multiplier, transfer multipliers, right? Different multipliers and how that affects national equilibrium. There was a bit of a cartoon as well. What do you think this means? There is someone in the middle. There are two ships there. Two ships have two flags. What's happening around? So ideally, what's happening around here is, Lamai, we're trying to manage our foreign policy. So in the middle, whom do you have? You have is, sorry. So in the middle, you have our president. You have a US ship and a Chinese ship. So we're trying to balance both of these people in terms of our foreign policy. So we don't want to be a country that is pro-China, or we don't want to be called a country that is pro-US as well. So you need to balance both of these people. Now, if you become, let's say, pro-China, you have the threat of, let's say, US putting a huge amount of tariff on you then. If you become pro-US, then China, who is helping you with all these loans and different stuff, they might not give. So it's a difficult act in order to balance the two of this. What is happening in the world right now, though, with these US tariffs coming in? So with US tariffs and all coming in, now there was India who was at a bit of a disadvantage. Give me a second. India who was at a disadvantage. Now, Lamai, India is making talks with China. So usually India and China were also not in very good terms, right? After around 2020, there was a bit of a border issue with India and China, and they were also not in very good terms. But now, because of this US Trump's tariffs that are coming in, now India and China also are trying to, resolve those issues, and they're also trying to get close. So recently, last week, there was a meeting that happened in China where the Chinese president invited the Indian Prime Minister, the Russian president, the North Korean president. And if I'm not mistaken, there were around 20-30 leaders who were there in kind of a summit that happened in China. So all of them are plotting something against US. What is happening? We also still don't know. But they're also not letting now US come and bully them and do whatever the US wants. So now Trump also might take some other measures against it, which exactly that is, we don't really know. So not sure what the impact for Sri Lanka would be. So we'll see. I don't think Sri Lanka was involved in that meeting. Let's see how it goes. So the meeting took place last week. I'm guessing the meeting is done, but exactly what the outcome is, it's not really disclosed out there. Let's see. Okay. There was a newspaper article as well that I talked about. I'll say that as well I should have talked a little bit about this meeting and what is happening around. Let me share that now. You can have a read once you're done with the class. Okay. Right. So then with that, we'll get into today's part. Yes, the 2000 rupee note, the government has printed limits that will not have a big impact on inflation. That's a new note that will come in. First, I thought it was a more note that was there for a more like a celebration kind of a note where they're not going to print a lot, but I think they will print a certain amount. So that will eventually come out here and there. So I think they will be printing it in batches. Not everything comes at once. Little by little, some of it will start coming out. Okay. So we'll start with the paper. 2011 A levels, question number 29. Okay. The question is saying the multiplier usually refers to how an initial increase in investment, government spending, or exports leads to a larger increase in the level of what? In the level of prices, interest rates, unemployment, savings, income. What happens? Is it black money? No, they're not canceling a note. That's not a, that 2000 rupee note is not a black money initiative. So when you change investment, when you change government spending, when you change exports, what are you trying to change, Lama, with the multiplier effect? You end up changing your national income, right? So which answer goes in line with something like that? Answer number 5. It doesn't put the word national, then the answer becomes very obvious, no? So they've just kept income. So income of a country is what you call your GDP, your national income, as a result of this. Easy question to start off with. Then the next one, 2012 A levels 23. Which the following will result in the greatest increase in aggregate demand? Okay, they're talking about government spending and taxes. Use a bit of common sense, Vilulaman. So if you want to increase aggregate demand, what should you do to government spending? Increase or decrease? If you want to increase aggregate demand, you have to increase government spending. What should you do for taxes if you want to increase aggregate demand? If you want to bring aggregate demand up, you have to reduce taxes. Right. Now, from these two also, which one will increase aggregate demand the most? Individually, if you look at it, is it an increase in government spending or a reduction in taxes? Which one will have a biggest impact on aggregate demand? Think of the multiplier effects. Which multiplier is bigger? Government spending multiplier or the tax multiplier? Government spending multiplier is bigger, right? So out of these two, this one will be the one that has a better impact. But let's say if you do both of this together, it will be an even bigger impact. So we'll see, we'll look at the answers. First one is saying 100 million increase in tax, even you reduce taxes. Okay. 100 million decrease in tax. Okay, that is okay thing. 100 million increase in government spending. That is also okay. 100 million in increase in government spending coupled with 100 million increase in tax. So this part is a bit off, no? When you increase taxes, so I'll cut that. 100 million increase in government spending coupled with 100 million decrease in tax. Which one do you think will have the greatest increase in aggregate? So answer number 2 is saying reduce taxes. Answer number 2. Answer number 3 is saying increase government spending. Answer number 5 is saying do both of it. So which one will, they're asking which one will have the greatest impact? So greatest impact will be number 5 then. In addition to increasing government spending, if you also go and reduce taxes, that will have the biggest impact. So then your correct answer will be number 5. These are not difficult questions. Then the next one, 2012 question number 24. They are saying if a autonomous increase in spending of 100 million leads to an increase in the real GDP of 500 million, what is the MPC? So this, Lamai, you have two key equations for any of these questions, right? So one equation is your multiplier equation. That is 1 over 1 minus MPC. Your other equation is again your multiplier equation, that is change in national income over change in any autonomous expenditure. That can be government, investment, anything. So the question is asking you for this. This is what the question is asking. Based on the information given, let's fill in the blanks and we'll work backwards. Question is saying increase in autonomous spending of 100. So this has gone up by 100. has led to an increase in national income of 500. That means how much is my multiplier? Increase in autonomous expenditure of 100 has increased national income by 500 here. My multiplier is 5 times, right? So if my multiplier is 5 times, how much is my MPC? Some of you all now with practice, you should know this line. You don't really have to put to the equation and calculate. If you wanted to put to the equation and calculate and simplify, how much do you get when you simplify? You get your MPS will be 0.2, MPC will be, you need MPC. Now they're asking marginal propensity to consume. MPC will be a 0.8. So that is your answer. I hope you all know how to substitute and get. You have the 5. So 1 over 1 minus MPC, find the MPC. By practice, you should know right now by if the MPC is 0.8 multiplies 5 here. You can put to the equation and get, but you all should know this by heart now. Okay. That is that. So remember those two equations, Lamai. The 1 over 1 minus MPC, or in other words, you can say 1 over MPS, this equation, and also the other equation of this. Based on these two equations, you can figure out most of the things that is happening around. Okay. Right, 24 is done. Then we'll go into the next one, 2013 A levels 23. Yeah, previous one was 5. In a closed economy with only lump sum taxes here, for example, T equals 100. There is no, like, for example, there is nothing like T equals 100 plus 0.15. So this part is not there. So only lump sum taxes are there. Okay. There's an example. They're saying in an economy with only lump sum taxes, the marginal propensity to save is equal to 0.25. A 80 billion increase in government purchase could cause a maximum increase in output of easy. So what is the equation? Again, those two equations. K is equal to 1 over MPS and K is equal to change in national income over change in autonomous expenditure. So they are telling me that my MPS is 0.25. So if my MPS is 0.25, how much will my multiplier be? My multiplier is going to be 4. So then if my multiplier is 4, they are saying a 80 billion increase in government spending. Government spending is autonomous expenditure. It is increasing by 80 billion. How much will my national income increase by? That's what they're asking. Remember the two equations, lamai, some missing figure tamai ahanne. So how much is the change in national income? If you increase government spending by 80, multiplier is 4 now. It will multiply by 4 times. My national income will increase by 320. So they're asking the maximum increase in output. Maximum increase in output is like 320. If you divide 800 by 0.25, you also get this. That is okay, but I will not recommend. That could be a shortcut, but I won't recommend. Go with the proper logical story. Okay. Then going into the next part. 2016 A levels question 24. An increase in which of the following will increase the investment multiplier? Think how is the investment multiplier calculated? 1 over 1 minus MPC, or other words, you can say 1 over MPS. When will the multiplier increase, Lama? What should happen to MPC? For your multiplier to increase, MPC has to increase or decrease? MPC has to, it has to increase, right? The higher the MPC, higher the multiplier. Remember, when you're, now do you all remember these, Lama? When you all do calculations, when MPC is 0.75, how much is my multiplier? That's what we did in the previous one, MPS 0.25. So that is MPS 0.25. You get a multiplier of 4. If your MPC goes to 0.8, how much is your multiplier? Your multiplier is 5. if your MPC goes to 0.9 and MPS at 0.1, how much is your multiplier? It's 10, right? So when is your multiplier increasing? Your multiplier is increasing when your MPC increases. Or your MPS has to come down. Same thing. No, when MPC වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ MPS is coming down. So question is asking you, an increase in which of the following will increase the multiplier? Increase in which of the following will increase the multiplier? An increase in the supply of money, equilibrium output, personal income tax, marginal propensity to consume, statutory reserve ratio. Which one? An increase in the marginal propensity to consume. Very easy question again. Previous one answers 5. Okay. Right. 2016, 24 is number 4. Then going into the next one, 2017. 17 is saying, suppose the economy is currently operating at equilibrium of 3,000. Full employment level is 4,000. If the MPS is 0.2, what is the policy recommendation to achieve full employment? Interesting question. They are saying that my current equilibrium is how much? 3,000. So that is your current equilibrium level of national income. Your full employment level of national income, they are saying, is 4,000. So they are asking you, for you to go from 3,000 to 4,000, what should you do? So first, can you tell me, to go from 3,000 to 4,000, by how much should your national income change by? Your national income has to change by a, it has to change by 1,000. It has to increase by 1,000. Okay. So then we look at both the government expenditure multiplier and the tax multiplier, both, because answers have both. So if my MPS is 0.2, how much is my government expenditure multiplier? Is 1 over MPS. How much do we get? Government expenditure multiplier is 5 times. So if you want national income to increase by 1,000, how much should government spending change by? Expenditure multiplier is 5. National income change, you want 1,000. How much should it change by? Government spending has to increase by 200. Is there an answer like that? Answer that says government spending increase by 200. So if you increase government spending by 200, it will multiply by 5 times. National income will go by 1,000. Then 3,000 will become 4,000. Is there an answer that talks about government spending increasing by 200? No. So they are saying government spending by 1,000, by 500, by 250. Wrong. If it is government spending, then government spending has to go up by only 200. So then you have to look at taxes. So how much is my tax multiplier? My tax multiplier is minus MPC over 1 minus MPC, or minus B over 1 minus B. Sorry, how much is my MPC in this question, Lama? My MPC has to be a 0.8, right? So then minus 0.8 over 1 minus 0.8. How much do we get as our tax multiplier? So minus 8 over 1 minus 0.8 can minus 0.8 over 0.2. You get minus 4. Remember, tax multiplier is always minus. So then put the same thing there. So then you know KT is change in national income over change in taxes. Your tax multiplier is minus 4. You want national income to increase by 1,000. What should be your change in tax? Simplify that equation. If you simplify this equation, I don't have space, I'll use the next page. You will get change in tax as minus 250. So if you want to increase national income by 1,000, you have to reduce taxes by 250. Is there an answer like that then? Decrease taxes by 250. Yeah, no? And answer number 5. So there are 2 things that you can do. If you want to go from this 3,000 to 4,000, to increase national income by 1,000, one thing you can do is increase government spending by 200. Then because government spending multiplies 4 times, 200 into 5, it will cause a national income increase of 1,000. Then you can go to this full employment. But there is no answer like that. The other thing you can do is reduce taxes. Tax multiplier is -4, MPS 0.2. So if tax multiplier is -4, if you reduce taxes by 250, -250 into -4, you will get a +1,000. That's how you get to this. So that's a good, interesting question to do. How many of you all got this right? 2027 question, sorry, 2017 question number 26. Yes, good. I feel from the question that we had so far, this was the most interesting one. Okay, then go into the next one. 2018 question number 27. 2018 question number 27 is saying, which of the following will decrease the GDP by the greatest amount? Tell me now, when will your GDP decrease? Ideally, if you want to decrease your GDP or national income, what should happen to government spending? Government spending has to, opposite of the previous question we had, right? Government spending has to come down. Sorry, this is question 26 in your tube. Can you all check the past paper? In the past paper, what question is this? Sometimes when I type, I get it a little wrong. Sorry about that. In your past paper book, can you quickly check 2018 A-level paper again? This question, which of the following will increase? We'll make it on past paper book. Past paper book, it is 27. Okay. So then can you all change your tute to 27? Okay. Right. So they're saying, which will decrease GDP by the greatest amount. So to decrease GDP by the greatest amount, either government spending has to come down or taxes have to increase. If you're only doing one of this, which one is more effective? A decrease in government spending or an increase in tax? The government spending, because government spending multiplier is higher. So out of these two, this one is a better one. If you want to increase GDP, reducing taxes is the better one. Yeah. But if you do both of it, if there is an answer saying both of it, then that would be even better one. So we'll see which one do you think is the answer now. Number one, in the past paper, it is 26. So some people told me 27. Because in your past paper book, this question is question number 26, the 27. Not in my tute. In my tute, I am typing, so I might make a mistake. In your past paper book, they will not change the question. In your past paper book, this is 26. So then correct that thing. So then make this question number 26. Okay. Okay. Right. So then looking at the numbers, one is a 50 billion increase in both government purchase and taxes. So if you increase government purchase and taxes both by 50 billion, balance budget line national income will increase. A 50 billion decrease in government purchase and tax. I need to increase taxes, right? Not the best one. A 50 billion increase in taxes, okay. A 50 billion decrease in government purchase. A 50 billion increase in net taxes. So this answer I will cut off. Which one do you think is the better one now? Which one will have the biggest fall in national income? 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no answer talking about both of it. No answer saying government spending reducing and tax increasing. So both of it answer එකක් නැහැ. If that is not there, which one do you think is the better one? Then the better one is reducing government. So which one is that? Answer number 4. So if you reduce government spending by 50 billion, let's say government spending multiply is 5, national income will fall by 250. So if 4 was not there, you can go into number 3 then. Okay. So that's number. Previous one, this is the working. That is okay. 2018 done. Then we go into 2019. 2019 question number 23. They are saying Consider an economy with autonomous consumption of 600 MPS as 0.2. If gross national disposable income increases by 1000, consumption will increase by. This looks like a very difficult multiplier question, but it's not a multiplier question. They are saying your income is increasing by 1000. If income increases by 1000, they are asking you by how much will consumption increase by? What should you consider in this question? You have to consider the MPC, right? MPC is telling us when income increases, how much does consumption increase by now? So if your MPS is 0.2, how much is your MPC? MPC will be 0.8. So if your national income, they will make that word fancy, gross national disposable. But they're saying income. Income, if it increases by 1000, MPC is 0.8 now. Consumption will increase by how much? 1000 into 0.8. Because MPC is when your income increases, how much of it do you consume? That is only 800. Answer number 3. There is no multiplier, no story there. But බොරුවට they give you like autonomous consumption part or they know just to confuse you whether you will add some nonsense, all of it. They are asking by how much will it increase by now. So if income increases by 1000, MPC is 0.6. Now, what is MPC? If you take the equation, MPC is change in consumption over change in income. So MPC is 0.8. They are telling me income is changing by 1000. They are asking me what is the change in consumption. That's why I'm telling you the change in consumption is 800. So 800 over 1000 only 0.8. That's an easy question. They're giving some additional information just to scare you. So don't get caught. So answer number 3. Then 2019, question number 24. Now this was an interesting question. Okay. Question number 24, listen carefully. The question is saying, the table below shows the national accounts data on consumption and gross national disposable income for a hypothetical economy. Okay. Year 1 and year 2. So year 1 to 800,961. Okay. They are saying an increase in net exports lifted the national economy by 300 million in year 3. If all other things are constant, what was the increase in net exports? You know what you should use? Those 2 equations I taught you. One is this, right? The expenditure multiplier. 1 over 1 minus MPC or MPS. The other one is change in national income over change in autonomous expenditure. So here you can take exports. Okay. So now, first we'll try to calculate the multiplier. To calculate the multiplier, first we will need the MPC. How much do you think the MPC is? When income is going from 1000 to 1002, consumption is increasing from 800 to 960. How do you calculate MPC? MPC is change in consumption over change in income. Put the numbers and see. Income is changing by 200. Consumption is changing by 160. How much is your MPC? MPC is 0.8. So you all tell me, Lamai, if my MPC is 0.8, now with practice, you all should know how much should the multiplier be. MPC is 0.8, and the multiplier is 5. With practice, now you all know that. So now put it into this question. Multiplier is 5. They are telling in the 3rd year, an increase in net exports have increased the national income by 300. So national income has gone up by 300. They are asking you by how much did the net exports change by? So can you solve that equation on the right side? By how much do you think national income would have, by how much do you think net exports went up by? For national income to increase by 300, it would have gone up by 60, no? See, it's that same thing, Lamai. What you need to know is, remember these two equations, right? These two equations තමයි ළමයි අර කරකවල අහන්නේ. So this equation with the MPC1, these two multiply equations. So some missing figure you have to find. So here the missing figure is this. So then how much is that? That has to be a 60, right? Net exports would have increased by 60. Multiplier is 5. That is why national income increased by 300. So answer number 5. How many of you got this correct? Again, a good question, I would say. Now, when I say good question, Lama, these are the questions that you can put a star and keep. And I'm repeatedly telling you, Lama, please do this now and keep. So when you all are doing questions, Lama, the difficult ones. Now, difficult for you will be different from difficult for me. What questions are difficult for you? Product highlight that question, keep. How many of you have a printed tute? Yes. Revision class people who are there in the revision class, you should have this printed tute apart from the 2024 one. The others, I would recommend to get a printed version of it. So when you get that printout version, when you're doing, you do the MCQs in the paper itself. And what you can do is, right, the difficult ones, product highlight it and keep. So that in case you want to recheck, you don't have to go through the entire paper. Now, that is what I tell you, 1 day or 2 days before the exam. You have exactly 2 months for the exam now, right? 2 months, little bit more than 2 months. The exam is on the 10th of November. So what do you do on the 8th of November and the 9th of November? 8th of November, 9th of November, amaru questions you go through. You don't have time to go through everything, because if you try to go through everything, you will panic. Right? There are some easy questions that you don't have to, that you know, if it comes, you will definitely get right here. Are tricky go through and refresh your memory so that you go for the paper. So for you to do that, you have to start marking the tricky questions now itself. Otherwise, 1 day before the exam, you don't know which one is the tricky question. Okay. Right. Previous question, there was nothing hard. Previous question, just to re-explain, that is what? That is, if national income increases by 1,000, by how much will consumption increase by? You use the MPC. MPC is change in consumption over change in national income. MPC is 0.8. National income is increasing by 1,000. How much will consumption change by? Better to go through the theory a week before. I will not recommend to go through the entire theory, but I will do is in the final seminar. So in your final seminar, that I will usually have the final seminar by the end of October. So that means that's like 10 days before the A-level exam. So in that final seminar, I will go through the entire syllabus again. It's a bit of a hectic one because there is a lot to do. All the units, unit number 1 to unit number 12, what are the most probable areas, what are the most tested areas, all of it, the key areas of all the units, I will go through. So then what can happen is, then that will itself act as a complete refresher of the entire syllabus for you. After that, any podi ones that you don't know, go through with it. In the final seminar, I'll give you all some additional materials, some take-home papers, something to do in that last 10 days also, because by then you have done everything and finished. Just to put that, keep you occupied, keep you in this thing, I'll have some stuff. Okay? Right, 2021. 21, question number 23. Which of the following is the correct relationship between the multipliers? Investment, tax, and balance budget. Now, just give me this thing. If my MPC is 0.8, how much is my investment multiplier? 1 over 1 minus MPC, you get 5 times. So this you all should know, right? Investment multiplier has a 5 times effect. How much is my tax multiplier? Tax multiplier, if you calculate this number, you get a -4, right? We did that for a previous question. You get -4. How much is my balance budget multiplier? Balance budget multiplier, every time it is 1. Okay. So then, what's the relationship? Forget about the pluses and minuses here, right? We're talking about the multiplier. How many times does it multiply? So your investment multiplier is greater than your tax multiplier. Investment multiplier has a 5 times effect. Tax multiplier has a 4 times effect. Balance budget multiplier has only a 1 time effect. So which one is your answer? Your answer will be number. Answer has to be lamai number 5. Now some of y'all make the mistake and y'all go and put lamai number 1. Okay. So investment multiplier plus the tax multiplier is equal to balance budget multiplier. I agree. But අතන plus sign එකක් නෙවෙයිනේ තියෙන්නේ. Now, one would have been correct if this was a plus sign. Then you can say investment multiplier 5 plus the tax multiplier of -4 will equal the balance budget multiplier of 1. It is not a plus sign, it is a greater sign. So then the investment multiplier is greater than the tax multiplier is greater than the balance budget multiplier, because investment multiplier has a 5 times effect, assuming MPC 0.8. You can take a different MPC, you'll still get the same thing. So I'm assuming MPC 0.8 and I'm showing it to you with numbers. Investment multiplier has a bigger effect, tax multiplier has a 4 times effect, and this. So here now you will ignore the positive negative when interpreting. So it doesn't matter whether it's a tax multiplier is a +4 -4, that's not the thing. It's how much of effect does it have. So investment has a 5 times effect, tax has a 4 times effect, balance budget has only 1 time. So that's why it goes like that. Okay. So answer number 5. Then the next one, 2022. 2022 question 25. Question is saying, assume that the MPC is 0.8 and equilibrium GDP falls short of full employment GDP by 1,000. Okay. What is the amount by government spending should increase by to trace the national GDP to full employment? Easy, right? So if you, now what are they asking? Right? So they are saying you want national income to change by 1,000. They are saying equilibrium is 1,000 short of the full employment. So you want national income to change by 1,000. They are saying MPC is 0.8. So if my MPC is 0.8 lamai, how much is my government spending multiplier? My government spending multiplier is 5. So they are asking you, if you are to increase national income by 1,000, right? How much should your government spending change by? How much should it change by? It has to change by a 200. See, can you see when you figure these two equations out, it's just that some missing information somewhere they ask you, right? So answer, then number 2. Then the next one, 2022, question 26. They're saying, assume that in an economy, MPC out of disposable income is 0.8. Okay. Government taxes all income at a constant rate of 25%. Anna, there is a bit of a thing there. Okay. If gross national income increases by 200, consumption will increase by. So they are asking you, if income increases by 200, how much will consumption increase by? Earlier, Lamai, we had a previous question. Income increased by 200, you multiply by the MPC, you can get this. But here, if income increases by 200, will your disposable income also increase by 200? There is a tax here, Lamai. How much of a tax is there? There is a 25% tax. So if your income increases by 200, how much of that do you have to pay as a tax? 25% of 200 is? How much is 25% of 200? 25% of 200 is a 50. So if your income increases by 200 and you have a tax of 50, how much will your disposable income increase by? Your disposable income will increase by only 150, right? Disposable income you can consume. So if your disposable income goes up by 150, how much will your consumption go up by? Remember MPC. MPC is change in consumption over change in disposable income. Earlier I took income because there were no taxes. Now here I'll take disposable income. My MPC is 0.8. My disposable income is going up by 150. How much will my consumption increase by? 0.8 of that 150. How much is that? 150 into 0.8. How much is 120? So your change in consumption is 120. So this is very similar to, which question? This question, Lamai, is very similar to this question. Very similar to the 2019 question. 2019-23. The only thing is, in the 2019 question, there is no tax. 2019 question, they are saying, income is increasing by 1,000. By how much will consumption increase? So because there was no taxes, I just simply took the increase in income. Right? I'm re-explaining, listen. And I took the increase in income. I multiplied by the MPC. I got the change in consumption. Because there was no taxes. You can directly get it. But in this question, there is a tax. Income is increasing by 200. Now, if it was like the previous one, then 200 into 0.8. But there is a tax. Because even though your income increases by 200, you have a 25% tax you have to pay. So that is a 50. So after paying the taxes, your disposable income will increase only by 150. Now that is the one that will affect your consumption. That is why I get consumption as 1. There is one additional step here compared to the previous question. Previous one, just you took the change in income and multiplied by MPC. Here, you have to first get the disposable income, then you multiply it by the MPC to get the change in consumption. Fine. How many people got this correct? Again, I feel a good, interesting question. 2022, question number 26. Yeah, good. Then going into the next one, 2023. 23, question number 24. Consider an economy where MPC is 0.9. How much will the output increase if government transfers are increased by 900? Now, is your transfer multiplier the same as your expenditure multiplier? No, transfer multiplier is different. Government transfer multiplier is the opposite of the tax multiplier. So how do you calculate the government transfer multiplier? Transfer multiplier is B over 1 minus B. Now, what is my tax multiplier? Tax multiplier is the minus B over 1 minus B. That means minus MPC over MPS. Here you take plus B over 1 minus B. So how much is plus B? B is MPC. So you get 0.9 over 1 minus 0.9. How much do we get now? Then 0.9 over 0.1. How much is the transfer multiplier? Transfer multiplier is 9 times. So remember, transfer multiplier and expenditure multiplier is different. Huh? Now, in this question, government expenditure multiplier will be 10 times. Expenditure multiplier and government transfer multiplier are two different things. Okay. So then if the government transfers increase by 500, so you use that equation, change in national income over change in transfers. Transfer multiplier is 9. If the transfers increase by 500, by how much will your national income change? National income will change by 4,500. 500 into 9. Right? You don't have to have these equations logically think. Multiply is 9. Transfers will increase by 500. It multiplies by 9. Then your national income will change by 4,500. So answer this. How many people got this correct? Again, a good question. First time they ever tested transfer multiply in a paper. Yeah, good. No, multiply effect not on the consumption level. This will be on the total national income. They're asking for change in national income. Okay. Right, that is the end of, oh no, there's one more MCQ. Okay. MCQ number 25 in the 2023 paper. In a hypothetical economy, real GDP is 10,000, full employment is 8,000. So your equilibrium level of output is 10,000. Your full employment is only 8,000. So they are asking you which of the following combinations. Now read the question carefully. Yeah? Which of the following company policies might have brought the economy to this point? They are not asking you how to bring it here. They are asking you, why do you think it came up to 1,000? Read the question carefully. Which of the following combinations of policies might have brought the economy to this point? You should have been at 8,000, but your equilibrium is 10,000. So why do you think your equilibrium would have increased? Why do you think your equilibrium was much higher than full employment? What do you think they would have done with government spending? They would have increased government spending. What do you think they would have done with taxes? They would have decreased taxes. That is why you ended up having an equilibrium over. See, read the question. Question is not asking you 10,000 in 8,000 yanne kohomada kiyala ahanne. Then you can say reduce government spending or increase tax. They are asking you which of the following combinations of policies might have brought the economy to this point. See, in a hybrid, like a real GDP is 10,000, full employment is 8,000. How come your full employment, real GDP is 10,000? How come you got an inflationary output gap? What happened? What was the reason behind it? The reason behind this could have been you increase government spending or you reduce taxes. So see if there is an answer that goes in line with that. A decrease in tax and increase in policy rates. Now, policy rates is a monetary policy. So if you increase monetary policy, then it will come down. You will contract. So you have expanded. A decrease in taxes and a decrease in interest rates. That could be your answer. So on one side, you reduce taxes. On the other side, if you reduce interest rates, consumption, investment and all will increase. As a result, you might be at equilibrium above full employment. So this could be an answer. We look at the others. Decrease in taxes and selling securities. Now, this is monetary policy. If you sell securities, economy will contract. No, we are looking for an answer that the economy is expanded more. Increase in government purchase, okay. And an increase in SRR. No, if you increase SRR, economy has to contract. A decrease in taxes, fine. And a decrease in government purchase, no. So therefore, your answer can be number 2. Can someone reconfirm this in the past paper question? 2023-25 is number 2. Yeah. How many people got this right? I would say, again, a very good question from the set. A little bit different from the previous ones. Okay. Right. Can you total and see how much do you all get? I think there were around 14 MCQs. How much did you all get? This is the 2017 question. How much out of 14? At least I feel around a 10 out of 14 is a decent number. There were around 4-5 questions that were tricky and a little difficult. Apart from that, the others were not that hard. Someone asked me with the 2013 answer. 13 answer would have been this. Number 5. Okay. Right. Transfer equation. Transfer equation is B over 1 minus B. Okay. So then MCQs are done. We can then move into the essay questions. So do you want a small 4-minute break? It's 7:26. I'll give you a small 4-minute break until 7:30, and then we'll start the essay questions. Essay questions, we can go comparatively faster. So take a break until 7:30 and be back. I will start the essay question. Take a break. Right. So coming with the 2011, now we're going into the paper 2 questions. So paper 2, the essay paper, the questions are not really hard. So we'll quickly go through the questions. You can give me answers. So 2011 A-levels question number 5, part 3. For a closed economy with no government, suppose the consumption function is 100 plus 0.8y, investment is 50. What is the equilibrium level of income? Is in level. So how do you find equilibrium of income? We did this last class also. So y is equal to E, y is equal to C plus I. So no taxes yet. So C is 100 plus 0.8y, investment is 50. So then you get y equals 150 plus 0.8y, y minus 0.8y equals 150, 0.2y equals 150, y is equal to 150 divided by 0.2. How much do we get? 700. And that's the first calculation. This is again, I would say, 3 marks in your A-level paper. This 2 marks there is done. Then part B is asking, what is the level of savings at equilibrium? So equilibrium level of national income is 750. No? So first of all, what is my savings equation? My savings equation, consumption is 100 plus 0.8y now. Make the saving. You can do this in multiple ways. One way is make the savings equation. Savings will be equal to minus 100 plus 0.2y. That is a savings equation. So now put the equilibrium income to that y and see how much is saved. So savings will equal to how much then? Minus 100 plus 0.2 into 750. How much is that? 0.2 into 750 is 150. 150 minus 100, you get a 50. So that is your savings at equilibrium. You can use y equals c plus s as well. Yes. Anyway, as long as you get the answer. Then that's also again 3 marks. Question is saying, if for some reason income is at a level of 800, what will be the inventory accumulation? So your expenditure here is 750 nilamai. So now when you calculate y equals E, you get that E as well, right? So expenditure is 750, equilibrium. By any chance, if the income is at 800, that means you have produced more than income can output. No? You have produced more than what people are willing to spend. So if your Y is 800 and your expenditure is 750, that is the equilibrium. They're asking you how much of an inventory accumulation would you have? How much more have you produced? People are willing to spend only 750. By any chance, if your income or output is 800, that means you have produced 50 more, right? Disequilibrium. So inventory accumulation would be a 50. That would be your answer. Easy question again. Then part D is saying, if investment rises to 100, what will be the effect on equilibrium income? Now here am I, rather than doing the whole calculation all over again, you have to show that you know the multiplier. Okay. So can you tell me how much is my multiplier here, Lamai? How much is my multiplier here? Investment multiplier. 1 over 1 minus MPC. MPC is 0.8. So how much do I get? My multiplier is 5 times. So then, if investment rises to 100 means by how much is it changing? Earlier investment was 50. Now it is rises to 100. That means it is changing by a how much? Investment is changing by 50. So if investment changes by 50, if your multiplier is 5, by how much will your national income change by? Multiplier is 5, investment is changing by 50. So therefore my national income will change by 250. So that is your answer. So you can say, as a result of this, if investment increases to 100, That means it is increasing by another 50. It will get multiplied by 5 and national income will increase by 250. Then what will be your national income? What will be the new level of national income? Earlier it was 750. Now if it is increasing by 250 because of this, now it would be 1,000. So you can give that also in your answer. You can say if investment increases by 50, it will multiply by 5. National income will increase by 250. So the 750 would have then become 1,000. That's what they're asking you in part D. Then in part E, they are saying, draw a diagram indicating the equilibria of A and D. Now, this kind of a diagram, ideally, has to go on a graph paper, right? So I'll quickly show you. You can take a scale and draw at home. So show the both equilibriums. So A, B, C, D. I'll put it over here. So you're drawing the graph. This is your expenditure axis, your income axis, 0. This is your 45-degree, y equals E line, right? They're asking for the equilibrium. So earlier the equilibrium, right? This is expenditure 1. Earlier your equilibrium was 750. That is when, how do you get the starting point? You add the autonomous spending line. So your autonomous spending is this 100 plus this 50. So your autonomous spending was 150. And now, if investment increases to 100, your autonomous spending goes to 200. There's a 50 increase in investment. As a result, now your equilibrium level of national income will be 1,000. This is E2. So if you want, you can give the components as well. This is C plus I. This is the consumption is 100 plus 2.8y plus a 50. This is a 100 plus 0.8y plus 100. That's the equation for this and equation for this. That's the story there. Okay. So this diagram ideally has to come in a graph paper. And here, show how did the 150 come now? 150 comes from the addition of this 150, the addition of the two autonomous components. Autonomous consumption is 100, investment is 50. That's how the 150 comes. Then in the second one, how did the 200 come? Autonomous consumption is 100. Now investment is 100. So 100 plus 100, you get 200. $1 is how much in Sri Lankan rupees? Around 300. Okay. That's part. Then that's the entire question for 2011. Then I think it's an easy question, right? Where you can actually score your full marks if you get this in your paper. 12 marks just for a normal y equals E calculation and to then, right? Calculation and then to show it on a graph. Done. Then going to the next one. 2013. 2013 question 5 part 1. Now this is a theory question. They're asking you, explain the meaning of the investment multiplier. So now, Lama, you have to learn how to write this for theory now. I'll give you the key points. You can jot things down. So what is investment multiplier? Investment multiplier is, okay, the what? Do we show the 150 in the E1 curve? Yeah. So show that line. You can write the equation for consumption investment and show it. Okay. So what is the investment multiplier? Investment multiplier is telling you if investment increases, by how many times would the national income increase by? So when there is a change in investment or an autonomous expenditure component, national income increases multiple times. By how many times does it increase by is what you call your investment multiplier. So then you can show how it is calculated, write the equation and show, then say this will depend on the MPC and MPS, right? Put those and show, right? And then you can even give a logical example and you can explain the story. This is not a difficult question, but you have to write for 4 marks. That is where it gets difficult. So give a small definition kind of a thing, talk about the equation, give a, right, say what does it depend on? It depends on things like the MPC and all. Then maybe if you want, give an example and show, look here. If MPC is this is the multiplier. Then if investment increases, national income will go up by less. So you can get things like that. Yes, in your exam 5, unit number 5 and 6 together, you will get question number 5. Okay, done. Then the next one. 2013 A-levels question number 2. Distinguish between the multiplier lemma will not depend on income, it will depend on the MPC though. Investment multiplier, you can say it's also similar to the autonomous consumption multiplier and the government spending multiplier, but not a main point. But if you want, you can say. Distinguish between an inflationary and a recessionary gap. What is an inflationary gap, Lama? For 2 marks, explain this. An inflationary gap is where your actual output is above your potential output. You're at equilibrium above the full employment. Your equilibrium above the full employment level of output. What is a recessionary gap? A recessionary gap is where your actual output is less than your potential output. You're at equilibrium below full employment. If you want, you can draw the y=e diagrams and show them. So for example, let's say this is your full employment level. Let's say this is your full employment level of output. But you're at equilibrium, let's say at this point. You're at equilibrium above your full employment level of output. So your full employment level of output is this, but you're at equilibrium above full employment. So for example, full employment level of output is 10 million. You're at equilibrium at 12 million. You're at equilibrium above full employment. So this gap is what you call your inflationary gap with the y=e diagram. You can also show this with the aggregate demand and supply. I'll show that to you the next slide. Same thing you can show on this side. So what is the recessionary gap? If you are at equilibrium below full employment. So let's say this is your full employment level, but you're at equilibrium over here. So you're at equilibrium below your full employment. Now that is what you call a recessionary gap. You can talk about the results as well. Inflationary gap, okay, inflation is going up. You can talk about that if you want, you can, but not very important. Mainly talk about that actual output, potential output, where your equilibrium is. You can support it with a diagram. So that's the normal thing. Very common question, Lama. There are this same question gets tested in multiple ways later on also. So then this is how you show an inflationary and a recessionary gap using the aggregate demand and aggregate supply curves. Now this is using the expend y=e approach. No? So how do you show recessionary and inflationary gaps? Using the aggregate demand and supply approach. So here, let's say if your full employment level of output here is y, and you're at equilibrium at y1, you're at equilibrium below full employment. That's a recessionary gap. Let's say your full employment level is y, and you're at equilibrium above that, then that's an inflationary output gap. That is how you show recessionary and inflationary gaps using the aggregate demand and aggregate supply curves. Okay. Right. The next one. 2013 question number 3. They're saying the simple income expenditure model of income determination shows that economy can be at equilibrium with either inflation or unemployment or neither. Explain using appropriate diagram. Same question as before, Lamai. So what is the story? You have to talk about this inflationary and deflationary output gaps. So in an economy, there is something called, Lamai, the full employment level of output. So full employment level of output is, Lamai, if the economy uses all of their resources, how much they can produce. So your full employment level of output and your equilibrium level of output doesn't have to be the same. So maybe you could be at equilibrium at full employment. So maybe, for example, if your expenditure curve is like that, then under you're at equilibrium at full employment. So this is equilibrium at full employment. But what if your expenditure curve is higher? What if this is your expenditure curve? So then you will be at equilibrium here. So this is what you call an inflationary gap, right? An inflationary output gap. So here you're at equilibrium above full employment. You can also be at equilibrium below full employment. That's called an unemployment thing. So for example, you can be at equilibrium here. Right? This is called unemployment gap, or you call it deflationary gap. So the question is saying economy can be at equilibrium either with inflation. Either with inflation, that's an inflationary output gap. You're at equilibrium above full employment. Or you can be at equilibrium with unemployment. That means you're at equilibrium below full employment. Or you can be at equilibrium at neither. Neither means you're at equilibrium at full employment. So all of these three are possible. So you can be at equilibrium at full employment, above full employment, or even below full employment. So if you're above full employment, that's called the inflationary output gap. If you're below full employment, that's called the unemployment output gap. You can show this separately in 3 different graphs if you want. You can show this in one graph. That doesn't matter. So what I would ideally have here is, I will have 3 explanations for this. One on inflationary gap, one on a deflationary or unemployment gap, one on the neither, right? Equilibrium at full employment. So 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, and 1 mark for a diagram. These are very common questions that they continuously keep on testing in past papers. So please be aware, have a fixed answer for a question like this. Okay, that's that question there. Then go into the next. 2013 year was question number 4. That's saying, how to explain? You have to explain the gap sitting. So that's the same thing that I explained over here, right? Inflation gap is you're at equilibrium above full employment. That story is what you have to explain. These are there directly in your theory tubes. You can get it from that. Right. Then part 4. Suppose that for a particular closed economy, for some given time period, investment was equal to 100, government purchase was 75. This is what taxes? Why is it? I don't know. Okay. Taxes, let's say, were fixed at 100. And consumption is 25 plus 0.8 YD, and where YD is for income. What are the values of the government expenditure and the tax multiplier? Easy. So from the MPC, you can calculate the two. So your government spending multiplier is 1 over 1 minus MPC. How much do you get, Lama? 1 over 1 minus 0.8. Your government spending multiplier 5 times. Okay. How much is your tax multiplier? Tax multiplier is minus B over 1 minus B, or minus MPC over 1 minus MPC. So minus 0.8 over 1 minus 0.8. How much do you get? Minus 4 times. I feel that's one of the easiest 4-mark questions ever. Then the next one is asking, suppose the full employment level of income is 1,000. What would be the increase in government spending required to reach full employment? Alternatively, what reduction in tax collection would be sufficient to reach full employment? So first of all, can you tell me how much is the equilibrium first? We'll calculate the equilibrium because otherwise we don't know how much of a change of national income we need. So y is equal to 1 over MPS is also fine, no problem, right? So y is equal to C plus I plus, is there a government spending? C plus I plus G. So y is equal to, my consumption is how much? Consumption is 25 plus 0.8 YD. Investment is 100. Government spending is 75. Okay. Now I have to simplify. So first I do is lamai, I have to convert this YD to Y. So first I'll add the numbers, 2500 and 75, that is 200. Plus 0.8, you all know lamai how to convert this YD into Y. It's Y minus taxes. So I'll skip one step. My taxes are 100. So Y minus 100. So then Y is equal to 200 plus, we'll open the brackets, 0.8Y, 0.8, and this is minus 80. Then Y is equal to 120 plus 0.8Y. 0.2Y equals 120. Y is equal to 600, right? So that is equilibrium. That's your equilibrium level of national income. Now the question is saying the full employment level of national income is 1000. Can you tell me, Lavai, is this an inflationary output gap or a recessionary output gap? Your full employment is 1000, but your equilibrium is at 600. You're at equilibrium below full employment. This is a recessionary output gap. That's what we kind of learned in these questions. So according to this, full employment is 1000, but you're at equilibrium only at 600. So now the question is asking you, for you to get from this 600 to 1000, what should the government spending change by? How much should the tax collection change by? Okay, they're asking what would be the increase in government spend. So use the multiplying equations, Lamai. So you know KG equals change in national income over change in government spending. Your government spending multiply, we calculate in part A. So government spending multiplies 5. How much of a change in national income do we want? Current equilibrium is 600. From that, we want to go to a full employment level of 1000. That means we need to have a change in national income of 400. So then, if national income is to change by 400, how much should your government spending change by? If you want national income to change by 400, if there is a multiplier of 5 times, your government spending has to change by 80. So your government spending has to increase by 80. If it increases by 80, it will multiply by 5. National income will go up by 400. Then 600 will go to 1000. And they are also asking you what should be the reduction in tax. So they are calculated with the tax multiplier. Okay. Why are we using change in income? So that is what you do now. So we are seeing, for example, to get a change in income of 400, by how much would government spending change by? That's what we're trying to calculate. So then you can get with the tax multiplier. So tax multiplier we got is minus 4. Okay. Okay. Minus 4. You want national income to change by 400. So how much should your taxes change by? Your taxes have to change by, how much should your change in taxes be? Taxes have to decrease by 100. If taxes decrease by 100, then multiplied by 4, it can happen. Here, Lama, you don't have to talk about a balanced budget because that is not what they're asking you. They're asking you, what would be the increase in government spending required to reach full employment? So government spending, you have to say it has to increase by 80. And they are saying, alternatively, if not for that, what is the reduction in the tax collection? So tax collection has to decrease by 100. Either you have to increase government spending by 80 or reduce taxes by 100. You don't have to talk about a balanced budget saying increase both by 400. That's not what they're asking. So answer what they're asking. Again, not a difficult question at all. It might look difficult when you all of a sudden daydream and look at the screen right now, but it's a very simple thing that they're actually talking about. Okay, done. Right. Okay, 2014 A-levels, question number 3. What is the impact of investment multiplier in determining national income? Explain with the example. So here are my same question as before. They're poddak rewording it. So you have to now poddak explain what is investment multiplier. What is investment multiplier? That is when investment changes, national income changes multiple times because that gets passed on, consumption will increase. Right? That story you have to poddak explain. and then explain with an example also. So now you can show, right? How is the investment multiplier calculated? Show the equation. Then say, let's assume MPC is 0.8. If MPC is 0.8, our multiplier is 5. Then let's say if investment increases by 200, it will get multiplied by 5. National income will increase by 1,000. And put an equation and explain. This is the same thing as what? Same thing as the 2013 A-levels question 5 part 1. It's just that they are asking this in a different way. Very similar to 2013 question 5 part 1. That's why I told you this explaining the multiplier again is a very common question. So have a fixed answer for something like this and write. Okay. So I'm not dictating this thing now. I'm just here to explain the answer. You can talk about this. Investment multiplier will depend on your MPC and MPS. So yes, that's how the equation is now. 1 over 1 minus MPC. So if your MPC or MPS changes, then your multiplier will start changing. Okay. Then the next one. 2015 A-levels question 5 part 4. They're saying following macroeconomic data is given for a closed economy. Consumption, investment, government spending, taxes, government transfers. Determine the equilibrium. Now, this is the first time they have a question with transfers. Interesting. So then they're asking if the government spending rises. There's so much of questions. Interesting. So let's quickly do the calculations. 8 marks here. Okay. First one is to calculate equilibrium. Okay. So y equals E. I'm not very sure now. How is the question numbering in your paper? Is this ABC? Is there a question number in front of this? Determine the equilibrium level. The question number 5. How is the question broken? I'm just figuring out the question now. This is the entire question number 5. Question number 5, part 4. Okay, this is part 1 and this is part 2. Okay. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, whatever. A to D. Okay. So whatever way, I think I've typed it wrong. So A, B, C, and D. Okay. So starting with part A. Part A, determine the equilibrium. So how do you find equilibrium now? Y equals E. Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus net exports. There are no net exports. So then Y is equal to consumption is 50 plus 0.8 YD. Now look at this YD lemma. Here there is transfers also. Be careful. Investment is 120. Government spending is 100. So I'll add all the numbers together. 50, 120 and 100. That is 270. Then how do I convert the YD into Y? So that is Y minus taxes plus transfers. There are transfers, you add that also. So then Y is equal to 270 plus 0.8 Y. My taxes are 80. My transfers are 55. So minus 80 plus 55. Then I will go one step ahead. 270 plus 0.8. Simplify that minus 80 and 55. Then it's easier to open the bracket. So minus 80 plus 55 minus 25. Right. So I simplified that. So now open the bracket. Now it's easy. Y is equal to 270. 0.8 into Y, 0.8 y. 0.8 into minus 25 is minus 20. Then 270 minus 20 is 250. 250 plus 0.85. Then you bring this onto this side. You get 0.2y equals 250. Y is equal to 250 divided by 0.2. You get 1250. Yeah. And if you got that answer correct, part A, equilibrium. Got the taxes and transfers part sorted without messing that up. So be very careful. Most people make the mistake here on this taxes transfers part tamai, you end up making the mistake. You can use W equals J if you want as well, no problem. There is no rule saying whether you are using anything. If you want, you can use W equals J and get the answer also. Okay. Then part B. Part B is saying, if the government purchases rise by 200, what would be the new equilibrium? Do you want me to show W equals J here? Okay. So still in the first part, since one person wanted, I'll show the same equilibrium using the W equals J method. Okay. Transfers will get adjusted in the W equals. Okay. So in part B, so let's say part A, alternative answer is use the W equals J method. So W equals J method is savings, taxes plus imports equals investment, government spending and export. So what is my savings? Consumption is 50 plus 0.8 YD now. Savings is minus 50 plus 0.2 YD. Then remember, Lamai, for taxes, what should I take? I have to take net taxes. What is net taxes? Net taxes are taxes minus transfers. So my taxes are 80, transfers are 50. How much is my net taxes? I'm collecting 80, spending 55. So my net taxes are only 25. That is what I have to take for the W equals J. Be careful. Okay. You should get the same answer. Net taxes are 25. So here are my imports and exports. Then so I'll cut that off. So no imports and exports. So I'll erase that. No imports, no exports. Okay. So then investment is how much? Investment is 120. Government spending is 100. Investment is 120. Government spending is 100. Right. So now you have to simplify this. So here also minus 50 and 25. That is minus 25. This one, Lama, I have to this one. So y minus taxes plus transfers equals 220. So then minus 25, 0.2, y taxes are how much? 80, transfers are 55. That is equal to 220. So minus 25, 0.2, y minus 25 equals to 20 minus 25, 0.2 into y, 0.2y, 0.2 into minus 25 is a minus 20. Really different answer. Did I take the numbers right? So minus 50 plus 25 is a minus 25. Did I make a careless mistake somewhere? Are we getting a different? Oh, sorry. This has to be 5. So 0.2 into minus 25, 0.2 into minus 25 is not minus 20, no. 0.8 into 25 is no minus 20. Here it will be minus 5. That will equal to 220. So then 0.2y, I'll bring the numbers to this side. 220 plus 5 plus 25. So 0.2y equals 250. You get the same answer, right? Y is equal to 250 divided by 0.2. You get 1250. Right? That is W equals J. So this is the alternative answer that you can get. Either Y equals Z or W equals J. I will recommend Lama product learn W equals J also and go, because what if in your paper they ask you calculate equilibrium using the W equals J approach? Then you have to do only that. So be careful. Right. Then that is done. Part B. If government purchases were to rise by 200, what will be the new equilibrium? Use the multiplier line. So how much is my government spending multiplier? MPC is 0.89. Now I'm not going to show how you calculate. Government spending multiplier 5. So then how much will my national income change by? If you rises to 200, rises 200 can, right now it is 100. If it rises to 200, is it changing by 200 or is it changing by 100? Be careful. If government purchases rises to 200, right now it is 100. What if it rises to 100? So how much is it changing by? It's changing by only 100. So it's your change in government spending into your multiplier. So national government spending is changing by 100. Your multiplier is 5. How much will your national income change by? Your national income will change by the transfers, you don't add it to government spending. That also you'll get the same answer, but it's better to put it under net taxes and deduct it there. So you will get like national income will increase by 500, but that is not what they're asking. They're asking what would be the new equilibrium. So what would be the new equilibrium? Earlier, your equilibrium is 1,250. Now, if it changes by 500, now your equilibrium would be a 170. Or else what you can do is do the question all over again. Instead of putting government purchase 100, now put 200 and see. But that is giving a impression to the examiner saying, look here, I don't know the multiplier. Do it with the multiplier and say, look here, if this goes up, this will increase by 500. Therefore, this will become 1,750. So you use the multiplier, that's more easy. Part C is asking, what is the value of government expense multiplier? So actually in part B, they are not even expecting you to do the multiplier. That's why in part C, they're asking for the multiplier. So how much is the multiplier? Your multiplier is 5 times, that is done. Part D, if the government intends to achieve a target of national income of 2,000, what would be the required level of total government purchases? Let's say we will start with this 1,750. So if you want to go from 1,750 to 2,000, you want national income to increase by 250. If you want national income to increase by 250, how much should your government spending change by? Government spending has to increase by, your multiplier is 5 times now. How much should your government spending change by? You can find from the 1,250 itself. Say you'll get the same answer. So if you're starting from 1,250, then you want a change of 750. Or you can change from the 1,750. You get the same answer, right? So government spending has to change by 50. So how much should your government spending then be? Right now, the updated one, it is 200. If another 50 gets added, then it will be 250. So if your government spending is 250, you can get that national income of 2,000. If you start from 1,250, then your change will become 750. Then government spending has to change by 150. Then from 100, 150. At the end, they're asking you how much should government spending be by? How much should it be? So how much should government spending be? It has to be 250. If you get government spending as 250, then you will get your answer for this. Is that okay? Again, I would not say, Lamai, these are difficult questions. I won't say these are actually easy questions. Okay. How do I work so hard without a burnout? I also feel that's why I'm waiting for a break after your exam is done. I think the point on this, right? I think when you're working hard, something that keeps me going is you know that you have something better coming at the end. Now, for you, now sometimes, do you remember during term exams earlier? Now, right now, I don't know if you had that feeling. Do you all remember earlier when you all do term exams in school? You know that after the term exam, holiday is coming here. And like, never mind, somehow only 2 weeks more. Somehow let's study. Then after that, it's holidays. No, 1 month can stay at home. That keeps you going. No? Now, even right now, right? I know it's very hard for you, right? Right now, you have 2 months to go. But at least the fact that you know that at least in 2 months, this is done, then I have so much of free time after that, right? I think personally for me, that is what sometimes keeps me going. Sometimes what I do is I kind of, let's say, book a holiday somewhere or something so that I know, okay, at least once this is done, I have that upcoming. So it's not easy. It's not easy to keep on, teaching. Today also on a public holiday, I am here teaching. So no family life, no balance, but you will have to make that sacrifice. So I am also looking forward. I know, okay, October, I have 2 more months to do with you all. October, I'm going to finish off my final seminar and I'm going to disappear. So I have that. For you, you do it until November. Let's say on December, you will disappear. You take a break. So that is what keeps me going at some point. But if I know that this is going to be my schedule forever, I feel that will be too hard. That will be personally be discouraging. Even during the week that is there. So even when you go to office, everyone looks forward for Friday. Because when people know there is something coming, you get going. But imagine there is no thing called a Saturday, Sunday. Every single day you have to go to work. People will have no motivation at all. So having something to look forward to sometimes gets you through that hard time. So I want to definitely go somewhere abroad on November, December, want to go travel, explore the world. It's just that I don't have the time right now, right? I can't figure out a week to cancel classes and go, no time to get all of that done. If I do that, all my other classes will start piling up. But I know if I finish your batch off, then after that, I only have the 26 and 27 fellows. 26 people, I have 2 classes a week, theory revision. 27 fellows, I have 1 class a week. I don't do in multiple institutes. I do just one institute, one online class. Then after your batch is done, I only have 3 classes a week. So that gives me a bit of motivation to keep going that somehow, no matter what I do, we'll get it done. Right. Yes, it's a cycle. So there are peak seasons, off peak seasons. Right now, we are in peak season and I am dead exhausted. I try to limit the number of students for a certain reason as well, because otherwise it gets too hectic. It's not, for me personally, it's not about the money. It's not about anything else, because if it's for the money, I will stop working and I will do a physical class. I'm not doing a physical class. I'm doing this because I like teaching and I feel that I am doing a pretty okay job. That's why I'm still going with it. So there is that satisfaction should also come from it. The previous one, the last part. Previous one, part D. So part D, once again, now they're asking you if you want national income to come to 2000, by how much should what should government spending be? So there again, same logic that we used for MCQs, Lamai. Same thing that we used for MCQs. You look at. So look at the multiplier and see government expenditure multiplies 5. So let's say you are starting at 1,750 right now. That's what you got in part B, no? So from 1,750, if you want to go to 2,000, you want national income to increase by 250. So if national income is to increase by 250, government spending has to go up by 50, because multiplies 5. 15 to 5, 250. So then right now government spending is 200. If it increases by 50, then it will be 250. That's how you get that now. Okay. Right. 2017. 2017 says, explain why a 500 million reduction. Okay. A 500 million reduction in government purchases will generate a larger fall in the GDP than a 500 million increase in tax. So here you have to talk about, Lamai, the government spending multiplier and the tax multiplier. The reason here is, Lamai, now if let's say my MPC is 0.8, right? So if my MPC is 0.8, my government spending multiplier is 5. That means if I decrease government spending by 500, it will multiply by 5 and national income will decrease by 2,500. If I increase taxes by 500, my tax multiplier is -4. No? So if I increase taxes by 500, it will multiply by -4. National income will change by only 2,000. They're asking you why. They're asking you why does a reduction of government spending will reduce national income more than a increase in taxes? Why is the government spending multiplier higher than the tax multiplier? The reason is, Lamai, because government spending has a direct impact. Now, if you take your equation y equals c plus I plus g plus net exports. When you reduce government spending, it directly impacts your y. But if you reduce taxes, it doesn't directly impact me. If you reduce or increase taxes, what happens? Your disposable income comes down. If your disposable income comes down, only a part of it gets passed on to consumption. Because consumption is 0 MPC, 0.8 of your income you consume. So then consumption will only come down a little. If you reduce government spending is a direct component. No? So national income falls a lot. But if you increase taxes, what happens? It doesn't directly affect. If you increase taxes, national income will, YD will come down. Disposable income comes down a little and it has an indirect impact. So if I want to quantify and show you numbers here. Okay. So let me find some space here. Okay. So if I reduce government spending by 500, it will get multiplied by 5 directly and national income will fall by 500. But if I increase taxes by 500, that will go and increase my disposable income by 500. When disposable income increases by 500, my MPC is 0.8. My consumption will increase only by 400. So as a result, what will happen? Is 25, sorry. As a result, that 400 only will get multiplied by 5 times. And that is why national income falls only by 2000. So here national income falls by 25, but here it falls only by 2000. Government spending is has a higher impact than the tax. So they're asking you to explain that. They're asking why will a 500 million reduction in government purchase generate a larger fall in the GDP than a 500 million in tax. So you have to explain that government spending has a direct impact on GDP. Taxes don't have a direct impact. When you change taxes, it first affects your disposable income. Part of that disposable income goes and affects consumption. Then only it affects the national income. So since the impact is indirect there, it's not that stronger. Government spending has a direct impact. And that is why your government spending multiplier is greater than your tax multiplier. Because government spending has a direct impact. But when you change taxes, it doesn't have a direct impact. It changes your disposable income. Only a part of that will get caught into consumption. Then only that will get affected. That will affect your national income. That story is what you will have to write. That is 2017, number 2. That. 2017, number 4. Equilibrium level of national income is not necessarily the full employment level of national income. Same question as before now. So equilibrium level is not the same as full employment කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේක, right? You can be at equilibrium either above full employment or you can be at equilibrium below full employment. So that inflationary and the unemployment output gap story tamai you have to explain. So that is exactly the same as 2013 question 5 part 3. Okay. 2013 question 5 part 3. Guys, this part to re-explain, it's a bit of a complex area, which I will recommend you take some time to figure this out, right? So if you have my theory class recordings, I would have gone through this in detail. I hope you know the part because I'm not teaching you theory here. So the overall story here is government spending has a direct impact on national income. That is why when you change government spending, there is a bigger change in national income. When you change taxes, taxes is not a component of national income directly. Taxes goes and first affects your disposable income. From that disposable income, part of it only goes and affects consumption. Then only it goes and affects national income. So change in tax has an indirect impact. So therefore, the change in tax doesn't have a big impact on your change in national income. Government spending has a bigger impact. That's why the government spending multiplies more than the tax multiplier. That story is what you have to kind of explain. You can put an example and explain this as well. Okay. So sorry, yeah. So here, sorry, it has been decreased. So your If you increase taxes, disposable income goes down by 500, consumption will go down by only 400. Okay. This is done. This one. 2018 question number 2. They're saying, consider the following macroeconomic data. What is the savings function? APC and APS at 500, equilibrium investment multiplier. I would say one of the easiest questions ever for you to get 12 marks in your paper. So can you quickly give me answers, Laman? I'm also dead exhausted right now, but we'll finish this off. Savings function, Laman. Consumption function is 60 plus 0.8 now. Savings function is minus 60 plus 0.2. Part B, at YD 500, calculate APC and APS. So what is APC? APC is your consumption over your indisposable income. APS is your savings over your disposable income. So when income is 500, how much is my consumption number? 60 plus 0.8 into 500. How much do I get? 460. So my consumption is 460. Income is 500. How much is my APC then? APC is, first one you have to show the equation or the workings, 0.92. So if from 500 my consumption is 460 now, how much is my savings? My savings has to be a 40, right? 40 over 500, how much do we get there? 0.0. That is a 4 marks there, easy as ever. Next one is asking for equilibrium level of national income. Can you do this alone? You can say 1 minus 0.92 also. Anyone who can't do C alone, it's the same thing as the previous one. My normal y equals E calculation. You have to be a little careful with the taxes and the transfers. Like we did a taxes transfers question, but a y dA, you can do y. Can you give me the answer? Then others can check. I'm skipping that. Y is equal to. No, don't round off now. Give it at 2 decimal places because you exactly get 2 decimal places then. Y is equal to 1005. Yes, others also. When you do y equals E and calculate. Yes. No one did it. Oh. Okay, 1005. Okay. Then part D. And so this one, it's 1005 is the answer. You can check by any chance if anyone has a different answer, but check the past paper book. You can see where you went from. We did a similar question with some different numbers. What is the value of the investment multiplier? Easy, MPC is 0.8 now. How much is your investment multiplier? 1 over 1 minus MPC. 1 over 1 minus 0.8. Or you can say 1 over MPS, same thing. You'll get 5. How if I got that 12 out of 12? You can jump up and down if you get a question like this now in your paper. It's one of the easiest questions ever. That's why I'm telling you now. For those who are a bit smart, keep an eye on question number 5. Because if question number 5 gets very easy like this, you can score full marks from this compared to question 1. Question number, I'm not saying don't do question 1. Yeah, question number 1, you can easily get, let's say, 16 out of 20 you can get. But question number 1 to get 20 out of 20 can be a little difficult. Comparatively, for question number 5 to get 20 out of 20 will be easy. So for those who are a little weak, you study question 1. Don't try to study 5 and 6 and try to do that because you might get it completely wrong. So you focus on getting at least 16 out of 20, then you can get 80, you can get A. But people who are already 80 targeting 95 on all of it, keep an eye on question number 5. Okay. Right. 2019. 2019 part 4. Suppose a hypothetical economy MPC is 0.9. When gross national disposable income is 0, aggregate consumption is 100. What is that 100, Lama? That is your what? That is your, that's your autonomous consumption, right? Assume that investment is 200, government purchase 40, net exports are 0, taxes are 0. Find the equilibrium level of national income. Can you all do that for me, Laman? So y is equal to E. I will just write down the equation. So C plus I plus G plus net exports. Consumption is 100 plus 0.9y. D. Investment is 200. Government purchase 45, net export 0. So you have to convert the YD into Y. And so I hope you all can do that. How much do you get as Y? 3,000. Okay, can. So easy, 2 marks. You should be experts now. It should be 3,000. Be a little careful. So with this YD convert into Y also. Then part B is saying, what would be the effect of on equilibrium national income of a simultaneous increase of government spending and taxes both by 10 billion? So what happens now? This is a balanced budget. If you increase government spending and taxes both by 10 billion, what will happen to your national income? National income will also increase by 10 billion. How? My government spending multiplier, now MPC 0.9 now. Can you all give me the numbers now? My government spending multiplier will be 10 times. Okay. My tax multiplier will be, sorry, my tax multiplier will be minus 9 times. So you all put and calculate. Huh? So then, if you increase government spending by 10, so if you increase government spending by 10 billion, it will multiply by 10 times. National income will increase by 100. If you change taxes by 10 billion, multiplier is minus 9, it will reduce national income by 9. So overall, national income will go by 10. That is how that will happen. Part B, that's the balanced budget multiplier story. That. Then the next part. 2020, question number 3, again, one of the easiest questions. How much is the autonomous expenditure? Autonomous expenditure is your expenditure that doesn't depend on income. That is autonomous consumption and this, right? How much is your total autonomous expenditure? Consumption, well, you have a 500. In this, you have an investment 600. Autonomous expenditure is 1,100. Just showing you the balance budget multiplier is enough, or is it? Showing it is also enough, I think. It's a 2-mark question. So you can say this is a balanced budget situation. Balanced budget multiplier is 1. Therefore, this will increase by this scale. If you want, you can show the breakdown and so. Okay. Right. Then part B. What is the equilibrium level of national income? This is one of the easiest questions for equilibrium. How much do we get, level? 500 plus 0.8y plus 600. You solve and get the y. No taxes, nothing. Y is 5,500. C is what is the value of investment multiplier? That's a disappointing question. No? Investment multiplier is MPC 0.8 none. Product show the working MPS 1 over 0.2. You get 5. 5 times. Okay. Again, free mark, 6 marks, which you can finish in even in 2 minutes. You can finish this question. You can save a lot of time to do others. Then 2021. Suppose a hypothetical economy equilibrium is 8,000. Oh, they have given the equilibrium. MPC is 0.8 and the potential output is 1,000. Easy, no man. Your equilibrium level is 800. Your potential is full employment. Full employment level is 1,000. So do you have a recessionary or inflationary gap? Full employment is 1,000. You're at equilibrium below full employment. You're at equilibrium at 800. You have a what gap? You have a recessionary gap. Right? Recessionary gap of how much? Full employment is 1,000. You are only at 800 k, and you have a recessionary gap of 200 billion. Easy things. So then part B is asking, if the government intends to remove this gap using direct taxes, what would be the required change? So if my MPC is 0.8, how much is my tax multiplier? Now you all know this, no? Tax multiplier is minus 4. So I want a change in national income of 200. So to get a change in national income of 200, how much should my taxes change? Be very careful with the increase and decrease. Huh? Taxes have to decrease by 50. So you say taxes have to decrease by 50. Then it will get multiplied by minus 4. Minus 15 to minus 4 will give you a plus 200 increase in national income. Fine. 21. Do you realize that the questions are getting easy now? Same thing they are asking. They ask the same thing here and there. Somehow they are twisting things around. It's not hard. Okay. 2023. Question 5, part 3. Suppose the government increases transfer payments by 100 and increases taxes by the same amount. What is the net effect of this economy due to this change? This is not expenditure multiplier and tax multiplier. This is transfer multiplier and the tax multiplier. What should you know? The transfer multiplier and the tax multiplier are the same thing, right? In opposite directions. So you can, for example, say if your MPC is 0.8, transfer multiplies plus B over 1 minus B. Tax multiplier is minus B over 1. So you can say my tax multiplier and the transfer multiplier are equal. Right? So tax multiplier is the opposite of your transfer multiplier. It's a positive version of your tax multiplier. So then if your MPC was 0.8, so 1 minus 0. You don't have to give MPC answer here, right? So you get transfer multiplier 4. Tax multiplier will be minus 4. So if you increase transfers and taxes both by 100, increase transfers by 100, it will multiply by 4. National income will go up by 400. If you increase taxes by 100, it will multiply by minus 4. National income will fall by 400. At the end, the impact on national income is simply tax and transfer multiply. As long as you know the tax and transfer multiply is the same thing in opposite directions. One is a plus, one is a minus. Okay. Right. This one. Question 4. Not very sure if that's called a fiscal wash though. I haven't come. I'll check and I'll let you know. Okay. Part 4. Assume that the following macroeconomic model for a hypothetical economy. Consumption is given, transfers are given, taxes are given, investment is given, government spending is given, net exports are given. First one, equilibrium level of national income. Can you all do that alone? But remember, there is a tax and a transfer that you have to adjust. How much do you all get, Laman? Y equals Z. Okay, so I'm leaving it up to you because these are things now we have done enough and more, Laman. I don't have to show you one by one how to do it. Be careful with the tax and transfer when you convert the YD to Y. That's what you have to be a little careful with. So you get 3,000. Then look at part B. Part B is saying, calculate disposable national income. How do you get disposable national income? YD. So you have your national income as 3,000. How do you get disposable national income? From Y, this one, you minus taxes and add transfers. You get disposable national. Your taxes are key, 3,000. Taxes are 250. Your transfers are 200. How much is your disposable national? That is the 2,900 and sorry. How much you get? 2,950. 2,950. Then part C, there is another part, aggregate savings. Now, does aggregate savings means private savings? What is aggregate savings? Aggregate savings that is aggregate savings domestic savings, right? The total savings. So aggregate savings is equal to your private savings plus any public savings. Public savings government savings. So then how do you get private savings? You can get from the savings equation now. So my savings equation will be how much? Consumption is 420 plus 0.2 now. Savings will be minus 420 plus 0.2, how much is the YD? I'm trying to calculate private savings. YD is what we calculated in part B, 2950. So when you simplify this, how much do you get? Minus 420 plus 0.2 into 2950. That is 170. So minus 420 plus 170. So is 170 the final answer? Or is 0.2 into 2950? Okay. How much is this? 0.2 into 2950. That is 590. So minus 420 plus 590, you get private saving. Remember, this is private savings. Huh? What you get from the savings equation is not aggregate savings. So then this is private savings is another 170. How do you get public savings? Take government's budget line. So government spending is 100. How much is their net taxes? They are collecting how much? They are collecting 250, transfers this one. So net taxes are here. Tax is 250, transfers are 200. So they are collecting 50. That is their income. Right? So government, how do you get government savings? Government's net taxes, income minus expenditure. Government's income is 50. Tax minus transfer. Government's expenditure is 100. So how much is government savings? Government savings is negative. Government savings is minus 50. That's what our government always does. So then how much is your aggregate savings? Private savings is 170. Public savings is minus 50. Your aggregate savings is 120. That is that. Good. Nice. Okay. So that's a good question again, to be mindful of aggregate savings. First time they're kind of testing that. The recording is now, which recording is the one that I've last uploaded? Have I uploaded? If you use I and NX, do you get the same answer? Investment plus net exports? Yeah, no? Oh, shit, that will be a shorter way. Yeah, investment plus net exports should also give you domestic savings. That will also be fine. Public savings is government's revenue minus government's expenditure. That's the budget balance. So government is collecting 250 as taxes, paying 200 as transfer. So their net revenue is 50. Government revenue is 50. Government expenditure is 100. So 50 earn karana, 100 spend karana. Then their budget balance is minus 50. So their public savings is minus 50. That's how that comes. Okay. INX should also give you this because aggregate savings at the end of the day is domestic savings. So 160 minus 40 should also give you that 120. But I would feel going this way would be a better method since this is a unit number 6 question. Can you check in the marking scheme? Have they given an alternative answer for INX as well? Last, I have uploaded focus area 60. Then I have 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, I will upload it soon. I'll try my level best. Tomorrow I have kept it free because I need to make some tunes and finalize and stuff as well. I'll see if I can upload it. Okay. Right. Okay. Last one. By how much would investment spending have to change to reach an equilibrium income of 5,000? Easy, no man. Right now, your equilibrium is 3,000. You want to go to 4,000. You want equilibrium national income to change by 1,000. Your multiplier, is 5. So if your multiplier is 5, how much should investment increase by for your national income to go up by 1,000? Investment has to increase by 200. If it increases by 200, it will get multiplied by 5. National income will go by this. So your answer there is investment has to change by 200. So for that, you show the investment multiplier. 4 marks, I think put all the workings and show it. Investment multiplier this. You show the story. Again, I would say a very easy 10 marks in your paper. They have given the alternative answer, and that will be an easy one. The previous one. Okay. So this one, aggregate savings, another option is, remember in unit number 5, we learned I plus NX. So your investment is given as 160. Your net exports are given as minus 40. So then you get 120. That's more easier. That is done. 2024. Define a recessionary gap and illustrate it in the aggregate demand and supply model. You know what should you draw, Lamai? Median recessionary gap in an aggregate demand and supply model. So your full employment level. So you should show this is your full employment level, but you're at equilibrium below full level. So you can draw this multiple ways also, right? You can show it like this also, I'll show you. So for example, let's say now this is where the supply becomes, when the supply curve Lamai becomes a straight line, that is where it is full employment. This is YF. You can draw as one supply curve. Okay. And your aggregate demand curve is here. So you are at equilibrium over here. Your full employment level is here, but at equilibrium over here. So that is a recessionary output gap. So define recessionary gap, that is the same thing you all did before. What's a recessionary gap? Where you are at equilibrium below the full employment. There is unemployment in the economy, all of it. Draw the diagram and show. And then they're asking you, what policy recommendations would you bring to an economy? Would you suggest to bring an economy towards full employment by eliminating the gap? So how can you eliminate the recessionary gap? What you do with your fiscal policy? Expansionary or contraction? There is a recessionary gap now. You want to increase aggregate output. You have to have a expansionary fiscal policy. So what should you do to government spending? Increase government spending or reduce tax. You can also give Lamai talk about monetary policy also. If you want to go towards full employment, you can have an expansionary monetary policy. So in an expansionary monetary policy, what should you do for interest rates? Interest rates have to come down. Money supply you have to increase. You can give those as answers to go into this. Hey, if you draw a short run, long run supply curve, that is also okay, Lama. That's not a problem. You can either draw it like this, how I have given, or you can draw it like this. Like this, then a pull. Show that the full employment level is much higher, but you are at equilibrium below full employment. So maybe Lama, what you can also learn is the inflation side, because what if next year they ask you inflation? Right. That is the end of all the past papers. Marking scheme, Lama, all the marking schemes, 24 paper is there on the Google Drive link that I have sent you. The Google Drive link is there in the WhatsApp group description. Past paper class description also, it should be there. In the mock exam group description also, it should be there. In that 24 marking scheme is there. No, this is not involuntary inventory shortage. Involuntary inventory shortage is this equilibrium. This is you are at equilibrium, but you are at equilibrium below full employment. Okay. Right. So that is it with the unit 6 past papers. On my end, I will try my level best to upload all the recordings so far very soon. I'll see if I can upload all of it tomorrow. Next week, we are starting off with unit number 7. That is where the grade 13 syllabus starts. I will send you all the papers early. So make sure definitely next week, you definitely come. Okay. See you. Bye-bye.